G'day folks, it's been a long time. I'm dedicating this one to Bud. Well, we'll see how we go here. I've actually been quite sick for quite a while, and before that have really had very little inclination to do twisty puzzling, unfortunately. But yeah, due to a friend of mine, Bud, who's just said a few things, I've got back on track. So this is the Sun Mum 4x4x4 version 1. Now I do have the version 2, and I'm absolutely going to be making a video on that one. I've already done a Sun Mum 3x3 version 1. I do not have the version 2, but I wish I did. And I can also tell you that I've got the Sun 3 Mum 4 and the Sun 4 Mum 3 on the way, and when it's released, the Sun Mum 4x4 version 3. What's that, you say? That's right, stay tuned. Okay, so here we go with this Sun Mum 4x4. The first thing is it's obviously different from the 3x3 in that you can see both the Sun and the Mum parts are different. So for those who don't know what this is on about, the Sun is the stuff inside, as in the child, and the Mum is the stuff outside. So with this one, we've got basically kind of a 4x4. It is, what you need to do it is the knowledge of how to solve a 4x4. You also need some knowledge of mix-up sort of cubes. And I would say in a lot of ways, this is easier than the Sun Mum 3x3 version 1, because there is absolutely no need to check for any kind of parity situation that occurs on the 3x3. This we can just fix it with normal 4x4 fixings. So the first thing here is a scramble, and the first part of scrambling is just doing your 180 and your 90-degree twists on the outside. When you're happy with that, and you never quite will be, but it's okay, then you want to start separating the Sun pieces, all these little pieces inside. And the easiest way I've found to do that is just to turn it across like that. So we've got these bits lining up. Now what I can do is turn that face. I can come around here and turn all of these. And I just want to now sort of keep doing that. I can go back and turn others as well. Whatever makes me happy, I can then do that and do the same thing, or I can put them both back, do a bit more of a scramble. But the key thing here is we want pieces. If I'm going to turn it that way towards the left, then I want the pieces on the right that need to be separated down that little line there. So that would be a good thing to do. Turn that. It's the longest part of this is just getting everything aligned. I should say this is the best turning of these ones that I've seen so far, but it wasn't when I got it. I had horrendous trouble with it, and it actually had not been assembled properly. So I would encourage you, if you have a really dodgily turning one, think about disassembling it and making it work, because it is well worth it. I really, really like this puzzle. So I'll just keep doing this for a little while. And before long, you'll probably get pretty annoyed with having to do all this, and you'll be like, you know what, that's enough. Most of that is actually done. Most of the inside part is scrambled properly. If I'm being picky, I'm probably looking at some stuff like this and saying, well, is that going to separate the whites and oranges? No, but if I kind of turn it like that, I will get some orange-white separated and all the red there as well. So I might just go, yeah, we'll do that and see what happens with the other stuff. See, that's separated that there, but it's put the greens back. So not necessarily ideal. At this point, and for these purposes, that's enough. Now, I've found it's almost a little bit tricky to scramble it beyond here, because I found it hard to get good unturnable stuff. Things will get blocked, but essentially what I would do is start separating by single pieces, and I want to put this little center bit, which was sitting in the center, I want to put that onto an edge and just replace it with an edge piece. If I do that and turn it back, you can see, okay, I've got something done there. So I would probably do a few of them, and I really have no idea if this is the optimum way of scrambling. And again, the alignment is just the longest time consuming bit here, and you will find as you go on, it probably gets a little bit trickier to turn with this. So I've got a few of these. What else am I trying to do? Perhaps something like, and whether I do it at this stage or not, just anything like that. Now, of course, I can turn these at 90 degrees, and that's exactly what I should be doing eventually. I'm not sure that I should be doing it yet. You can see here I've got some of those little sun pieces sticking up. I definitely want that sort of thing. And if I wanted to replace this with that one, that's not a bad option. I would obviously have to turn this because I'm turning both of them at the moment. I could use this one here. I could use that one there. So perhaps I'll just turn that across. Oh, that's replaced it with that one there actually. So you just go back. Probably, I just did something that I didn't really mean to do, which is pretty normal. What I'd like to do here is get the ones that are sticking up again. So you can see why sometimes you start scrambling things and it gets, some of it will just come back together. So for me, the longest part is just getting this to a point where I'm happy with the scramble and I feel like it's scrambled enough. So I'm going to keep doing this for a little while, see if I can get a few more of these going. Okay, just here you can see that I've got some bits sticking up. That was the sort of thing I was going for just before. I've got a few more little bits floating around, but this is still not super simple to do. One thing when I get some, let's say that I get some separation here, so I might just do this. So every time I do this, so I think I want to separate these two, but by doing it, I'm putting another edge in its place a lot of the time. So what I might do is replace this with that one for a start. And if I'm not blocked over here, I am blocked, and that's good. I'm happy to see that blocking because it's the sort of thing that I do want eventually. So I'll just move that back. And I think that blocking was here, so I might temporarily turn that to there. And is that going to unblock it? We're good there. Okay, I've at least got that in there, and as you can see, I'm just really struggling to get a good scramble. So I'm going to continue doing this because this is certainly not what I'm happy with yet. Well, this is definitely better, and it's probably nearly to the point where I'm thinking I'm going around in circles. I've got some good blockage here, so that's definitely an illegal move if you kind of try and separate pieces like that. I've got a few of them floating around. I can still turn stuff. If I want to separate these two, it's a matter of turning that outer face, making sure everything is misaligned, I guess. That you can see that as soon as I do this, I don't really go a whole lot worse. So a little bit more here, probably that's almost as much as I'd normally do, because essentially you're never going to get it to the point where it's impossible. I certainly can't do that. If you have some great tips of particular scramble sequences, I'm very interested in that. But as far as these things are concerned, you can see that I kind of almost, it's almost looking good again, even just by doing that. But I do have a couple of pieces here which are right next to each other, which I'm very happy about as far as the scramble goes. So let's call this scrambled. We'll move on to the actual solve. And the first thing that I want to do is to get this right back to flattened cube shape. There's a couple of steps as we go here. And this is probably the hardest part of the solve, to be honest, this getting it back to cube shape. What I want to think about is just trying to do one of these at a time. If there's an edge in the center position, I'd love to replace that with a center piece, or the set of center pieces. So initially, I do note that these two things are quite close together, and I don't particularly like that. So what I might do is just see, well, how can I get rid of them? Is it simple? That is better, and I'd probably turn that one off and just replace it with something else purely to separate those two. That hasn't done a great job of that, you can see. Perhaps we'll leave that where it was, up there. Okay. Now, let's say that I've got a piece like this piece here. I'm going to turn that so that it is always wanting to turn along the side, sort of the equator layer here, and I want to be able to do that. So if this was, and you can see I can't turn that because of the blockage there. If this was rotated the other way, I would need to get it like this so that all the pieces are able to turn and the slices are able to turn. Now what I'm hoping is that I can turn that into that position and then replace that with, say, this piece here. And the only thing that would stop it would be something at the back like that. So let's just turn that back and see where that comes from. It is actually sitting there on the lower layer as we speak. So I can't do that. So I've got to deal with this first, and probably what I'll do is turn it into the center, give it a 180 twist if I can, but I can't because that's blocked. So this is a really good example as well. Here I would now look at these and go, actually I'm going to turn it back that way, because then those two are in the center. Now I've just got to kind of deal with this here, which I can. Now I think that might be better, but we'll see. We'll see how we go. Remember, it doesn't really matter what's here. What matters is if I've got a piece in the center, I need to replace that with something else. So at the moment, what I will do is just put this piece down on this layer. That seems to be a problem piece. I want to now try and replace this with that. Let's see if that is going to work. I can move that up as soon as I can turn. If I can turn this, which I can, it's just alignment now, and I often end up going 3 the other way. Then I can replace it with this centerpiece and move it back. Now, that may not look much better, but what it's done is put an edge that was in the center into the edge position, and a center which was in the edge position into the center position, which is what I need to do all the way. So I've just got to keep doing that, and I find I can do it with 2 at a time if I have 2 up here and if I don't have other blockages. So we might try it with these 2 and just see how we're looking there. I can at the moment turn that. What would happen if I did that? Am I blocked? I don't think I'm blocked at all. So I might even just be able to go, turn that up, replace it with those 2 and bring that down. Nice. Okay. So it does not matter at all that these are sticking up. I don't care about that. All I care about getting the edges and the centers into their correct positions. So I've got 4 to go. These 2 here, I'll just pretend they don't exist for now. Let's move that little piece to there. I want to try and get this one replaced with that. I feel like this is going to be a problem. So what I will do is get these down to that layer first. Just with something like that. I think that should be okay. Although, that's blocked at the back. Are we still blocked? Not blocked there. Not blocked here. So the question is, I've got to replace it with that one. Turn that off. Put its position up. Turn it on, put it down, and return. Good. That should be 3 left. I'll try the same sort of thing with this one, although I know I do have this issue here. Now, is that the only one? I think that might be the only one that's a bit of an issue. So probably, I might even leave that for now. If I can get away with not dealing with it, I'll do that. This one, I might try and move into here and replace with this piece. If I've got no blockage, which I don't think I do. So I should, unless that's just produced a block. That has just produced a block there. Unless that was already there. It was already there. So I'm just going to turn that off. We might be okay now. Okay, so you can see that what I'm doing, there's no fancy moves. It's just all really simple 3 or 4 move sequences, just one by one, getting them done. I'm down to 2. I can happily separate these if it helps. There's no problem, no need to keep them together. I would now look to try and perhaps replace this one with this piece. Now, if I turn it across to there, it's coming from there. So I'll turn it to the left instead. I do have this problem piece over here. So what I might do is just turn that around to the other face out of the way. That seems to turn. I think we might be okay here. Now, does that turn? No, there's a blockage at the back there when I do that, and that blockage has come from here. Now, it's a slight issue because I've got this piece as well. So I don't, oh yeah, actually I do think, yes, that will be fine. Just replacing it with that one. That should not block things at all. Good, I can turn that up, replace it with this one, and bring it back down. That just leaves me this last one to do. And that's a problem piece there. And it's sitting, you'll notice, it's sitting all skew-if. So I really have no option now but to deal with this. So probably the way that I would deal with it would be initially move it into the center, turn the face, and when I return that, I'll just see what has happened. What has happened is very good because I don't have any blockages across here anymore. I have created a couple of others. I don't care about that because the direction of the pieces is all okay. So I'm going to move this one up to the top initially just to put it up there. I do have a couple, but I'll pretend I don't have two. Let's see if I can firstly get this one done. Yeah, is that blocked at the back? No, it shouldn't be, and it's not. It's just alignment. Okay, so that's that one. Two to go now. And let's put this one up to the top. And I'll have to again go to the left here. That one, and that should leave me, you remember just before we had one left, but we had that really annoying blockage which we now don't have. So let's have this to there. I think, where does this go? It's going to go to there, so that one's in a good position as long as nothing's blocked here. I think something is blocked at the back, so I just need to change the alignment of something or other. I wonder what it was. Or was there actually no blockage and I just didn't have it aligned? I can't say, there we go. No blockage, just didn't have it aligned. Okay, so that goes to there. Replace with that centerpiece, bring these back in. That's a nice little first stage. So all the mum edges are back into their positions. Now, these sun sort of edge pairs, we want to look at initially trying to pair them and make quads. What I'm looking for is quads, and I can happily deal with 2 quads at a time. I'll just try it with these. The problem here is that what I need is all the pieces to be angled that way. So I want 1 quad on the up, 1 quad on the back like that, and I need all the other remaining pieces that are sticking up to be angled like this. Now on this face, I actually have different parts here. So what I've found is a lot of the time, a nice little step here is to try and pair up all my quads before I do anything. So for example, I'm almost treating this like it's a 4x4 centers. So in other words, I'm going to match that one with that one, turn it off and return. And I want to keep doing that until I can get all quads sitting here. So again, I would go, let's put those 2 onto the same face like I was doing 4x4 centers. That'll give me some room to free things up. Let's see how we're looking here. If that, I wouldn't, yeah, I almost like that one. Somewhere else, have I got another quad? No, okay. So I'm going to do this on different faces. Let's say that okay, do that. I'll pair those 2. I will now look to pair these 2. In fact, I'm going to bring, that one's already paired actually. So I wouldn't mind keeping that with that other one that was paired, which was up here. Okay, so I'm now just going to turn that, bring it to that opposite center. So I'm storing completed quads on those same centers. So all the other centers, I've got a little bit of room to move now. Let's have a look here. That's a quad done. Okay, there's another face with 2 quads. Now that should be getting a little bit easier to deal with. I still have this face which has a few on it. Let's go that to there. Okay, I've got these 2 to match. So I'm going to move that one up to there and then just see if that's helped. Realistically, I mean, it's good, but what I'm going to do now is actually get this off that face so I can work on these 2 faces here. So I'll just turn it down 180 degrees, and now much easier to deal with. Okay, so I now have all my quads ready, much easier to work with, and as I was saying before, I can position them now like this. So on the back face, I have a quad in that position. On the up face, I have a quad in that position. I don't care what else is anywhere. There can be one here, doesn't matter, as long as they are all aligned in this same direction, which they now are. Okay, so the way that I want to flatten that quad and that quad, remember up face and back face, I'm going to turn these 2 slices into the middle, then turn both middle slices like that. Then I'm going to undo, and once I've aligned, undo. So slice, turn, undo, undo. Then turn the upper face 2 turns. Now what I want to do now is undo all of those slice turns in the order that they came. So the last thing I did was move this slice back down to here. So this time I want to turn that up, then turn this into the middle, turn it back down, turn that around. Now I don't have to do the up 2 turn to finish. You will remember there was one here, there was one here, they are now flat. So you can see, yep, that's pretty straightforward to do. So if I now position that one and that one, just check that all the others are correctly aligned. I think they are now. So into the middle, then up, out and down, and then an up 2, and then undo. Okay, that's flat, that's flat. So we're flattening these, and let's do these 2. I can never tell if that's correct or not. I'm not even sure it matters, actually, if it's on the bottom face. I've actually got no idea what I've just done. I think, just start that again. No, that can't be right. Hang on. I think I did the wrong one first or something. That's better. Okay, I'm not sure if I did the wrong one first or not. Okay, let's actually pay attention. That one first, then that one. Maybe I didn't. That one back. And that one down, up, and then undo. Right, now I could happily finish this with the last 2. And again, the 4x4, it's just easier than the 3 because, oh, they're on the same face. No, they're not. So I could just do this, but I want to show you what do you do if you end up with only 1 quad or 2 single pieces here. Well, let's pretend that this one, I'll just sit this on the bottom face out of the way. And I've got these 2 here. So first thing is, what would you do if they're not together? Well, if they're not together, they're just going to be somewhere like that. So all it is a case of is pairing them like you would normally pair a 4x4 set of pieces. So I've got them paired to be a quad. Now I want it on the up face. The only change to this routine, I'm going to do the same sequence. So just by the way, there's obviously none on the back face because I've only got one quad to flatten. Instead of doing both of these inner slices, the only thing now is I just want to do the upper one. So I do the upper one, then I do both of the front to the up. Then I return that upper one, and then I return that. I still do my up two, and then I still undo all of those moves. So the first one to undo is that. The second one is that. The third one is that. The fourth one is that. You'll notice there's no sticking up pieces there anymore. So that's the only difference there. This is on the up face. Let's go again. Up two. Okay, we now have reached that first really main stage of everything completely flat back to cube shape. Fantastic. Well, from here, what we want to do is firstly solve all of the sun stuff and ignore the mum stuff. And then once we've solved the sun stuff, go ahead and solve the mum stuff. So in terms of the sun stuff, here's my process. I'm going to solve the centers first. I'm then going to make pairs, and then I'm going to solve all of the sun centers. So when I say the centers first, I mean the four little bits in there, as though the same sort of thing if you were doing a 4x4 where you just had these four bits in the center. So I'm going to work through that fairly quickly because I assume people can do 4x4 cube. So that's white center done. Ignore the two little white bits there. I'm just talking about those four. I would next go and do the yellow. So I'll go put them there. Pair those up. I won't cut any of this. It's going to be fairly quick. I normally have a color order that I do things in. It's either red or blue next. So let's make it red. Okay, the red center's done. So I know that white, red, blue. Blue is my next one. So I can put that one there. And the other two pieces are over here. So I will just turn that one. In fact, no, I won't. I'll turn this one off, rotate it, turn it back. And now I can turn it to push out that blue one, rotate the face and bring it back. Very, very standard. Orange and green. Well, this is pretty straightforward with this one. I won't go through other scenarios because, as I say, it's just 4x4 centers. So they are done. Right, the next stage is that I want to pair. For example, I've got a white and a green. I want white, white or green, green. What I'm going to do here is just find on any adjacent face. Let's start with the whites. There's no reason to. I just am. Any adjacent face where I can turn like that and make a pair. So for example, if I rotate this white piece, you can see that I can do that and I've got a white pair. Now what I'm going to be doing is something like that white piece there, turning it like that, and then replacing this made pair with another pair that's on this face or this face. And in actual fact, we're doing a 3 cycle. So I'm doing this white piece up here, going to this green piece. Now, if I think about where that green piece is going, what I'm going to be doing is turning it across like this. So that green piece that was on the right goes to the upper position. When I swap it and put it over here, it's going to go to the lower position. So what that means is if I had, for example, so I just think about where we're coming from. I've got the white going to the green. I'm either looking to match that green with an existing green over here, or I'm saying, well, where did this white come from? That also came from a green, so I'd like to match it with that one. It's a little bit unfortunate here. I've got these two pieces of the same color. Maybe I should just slightly change that. I will. Okay, white going down to here, green going across to here, and the one from here is going to come back and pair with this orange. So let's have a look. Could we get an orange to match there as well? In order to do that, it's going to this position. It's going to come around to here. It's going to go to there. Do I have an orange in that position? Not on that face. How about across the other face? I don't really there either. So for this one, I won't bother trying to do a second pair. I'll just do the whites. So I turn that white down, rotate that face, and now I want to swap that white pair with something else over on this face. The way to do that, very simple. Turn it into the center, turn it up. This looks very familiar, very similar to the other one. That's it though. Now a U2, undo, undo. That's going to be a workhorse move for the whole solve. Now, that now gets turned back to there because we want to remake our centers. The centers are remade and you'll see we have a white pair sitting there. Really pretty straightforward. Okay, what have we got here? I've got this same white. I could do this, come down to here. I've got white, green, and green, white. I do have another white, green over here. And this time it's not going to be good, but this green, blue will be really nice. So, oh, I think it will. Actually, let me have a think. The white's going to come to there. Yes. So the white is going to this green spot. This green spot, that is going to, when I turn the face, be in there. And it's going to go across to here and make a pair with the green. So that is pretty perfect. So I'm going to get a white pair and a green pair. So I'll turn the white pair down, turn the face, swap the white pair with the green blue. Okay, that's done. I'll unturn my faces, and if I ever get stuck onto was it that face or that face that I turned, look at the centers. So unturn, put it back. There's my white, there's my green. Okay, that's the sort of thing we're doing. You can see that it's going to be pretty straightforward most of the way, certainly till the last few. What I like to do is to try and get whole faces with paired pieces, because what you want is to only have to look one face away for all your stuff. So at the moment, I might even look here and say this face has 3 pairs. I'm going to place another pair on it. So I'm going to grab that green, just swap that green pair with the green red. So I'm not really trying to make a pair there. I'm just trying to get a whole face with all 4 pairs. I've got one here, one here. I could probably get another face. I'll go to that soon. So what I'm going to do is just continue working, and I'll cut back in with the last few. All right, down to the last few, I've got, you can see I've got white, green, and green, white. I've also got red, orange, yellow, red, yellow, orange. So those 3 are definitely going to match up. So let's take care of them first. The red comes down to there. Turn that face and do that swap. Okay, just check the centers. I've got to turn that one, go the long way, turn that one back. That's done. Okay, that just leaves me with these 2, white, green, and green, white. Now, the first thing is they're on the same face, which is no good. So I'm going to just have a look at the other faces. The other 2 faces here that I could use, in fact, I could use that face as well now. So I will use that face. I just want to get one of these up to here. So the easiest way to do that, just to turn it, do the swap. just to get them off the same face. All right, so now all I really need to do is line them up. So I've got white, green, green, white. So clearly the white's going to come down to there. The 3 cycle is white going to that green. The green is going to come to here and swap. Now, because these are the last 2 pieces, the only thing that I have to do is put another green piece in that position. And just to be clear, if instead of bringing the white down, let's say that I brought the green down, what I would want would be to have a white piece there, not a green piece. So you just have to think about what color is coming back. So if I move the white down to here, what color's coming back? A green to match that. So I move that white down, I make sure the green is in this position, turn the face, and now do the swap. Okay, we'll undo that face turn. You can see all of the pieces are, well, that's not at the moment because of the centers, but the green's been done. But when I fix the centers, that green piece will come back up and complete that last green there. So that is the way that you deal with the last, a swap of 2, if you like. Right, now the fun part. So that was a little bit tedious in just getting things ready. Now we're actually going to make the entire sun center. I will start with white, why not? But also because a white has a pair already sitting there. So if I started with, let's say green, I don't have any pairs on the green. So the first thing that I would do would be to go and find a green pair and swap it across to make a pair. So what I want to start with is simply a pair. The next thing I want is to make a triplet or find a triplet. And there is no triplet of white pieces, so I'm going to make one. As an example here, this is pretty good. What I want is to have a pair of whites, and we just finished making them, so they're all good. And then find another piece that I can swap across. So you'll notice that if I was to swap this red, blue, blue, white with the orange, 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 white, what's going to happen? The white from here will go diagonally up to the top. The red from here will go down to the bottom. That is the key thing that I'm interested in. Yes, the other pairs will swap as well, but at this stage, what I care about is making a white triplet. So to do that, this white piece needs to be here, so it goes to that position, and not here, because it'll go down to there. Okay, so we've got it in that position. I move it across, do the swap, when I undo everything, you will see that white piece has landed next to the pair and I have a triplet. Why is that good? Well, what I'm going to do now is position things so that I can place the triplet next to the pair that I already had around the centers. And again, I just want to think, well, should it be like this or should it be like this? Well, if I have it like this, I'm going to have the pair here and then a gap, boom, boom, boom. I don't really want that. I want the triplet to exactly touch the existing pair. So this is where I need it. I'm now going to go do the swap. All right, and you can see now I've got that pair with a triplet next to it. Next, I need to do another triplet, which means making it. In this case, let's see how we go here. I've got the same deal, but just to show that it doesn't need to be like that, I could swing things around and have it go to the bottom. There's the triplet. I now want to match it. At the moment, that's in the right position. I've got to turn this so that this is in the correct position, so the triplet exactly matches where it should go. So it doesn't go to here and leave a gap. It goes to those lower 3 pieces. So that is good. Do the swap. And that leaves us just with a quad to deal with. So I'm going to do that in the same sort of way. I'm going to firstly make a triplet. Now, I happen to have two here. If I do that, I'm going to get that piece does well. This piece goes onto the same face, which is not really what I want. So I'm going to just turn that off and have this one go up to there. And do the swap. Okay, that's been done. Now the thing to do is to make the quad. So I just move things around until that is going to land there. I've got a quad. I now simply want to swap it across to where it belongs. And I hope you're thinking, wow, that was simple, because it is. It's a bunch of simple moves, just building things up. There's one complete center done. Now, I won't video through all of these, but I certainly will come back to the last couple because they're slightly trickier, or they can be. Not much though, I have to be honest. But what I tend to do is, again, just work my way around. I don't want to do the yellow next, because what I want to do is have the pieces nearby to where they want to be, where they need to be. So I would choose probably one of these faces next and get the red or the blue done. In this case, I'd probably choose the blue because it's already got a pair. And then I would try and either get the red or the orange, just so I've got all three around a corner, which means all the rest of the pieces will be sitting around another corner. That's the plan. I'm going to continue with this. As I say, I will come back in when the last two need doing. And I've just got the last green quad here to do. And that will leave me, I'll finish that one, with just the red and the yellow faces. And you can see it's a little bit of a mess, but honestly, this is pretty straightforward. So let's go and get the reds done in the same way that we normally would. First thing, I notice that I've kind of got a quad there. I've definitely got a triplet on its own. So what I might do, just going to think about which triplet potentially. I'm actually going to use that triplet down to there. And the reason for that is it's going to put the triplet where I want it, but it's also going to take that single piece and put it back to the quad. So that's the kind of thing that you can do here. It can't really be a huge mess. In fact, let me not do that because that's almost too easy. That's going to make it quite straightforward. So let's pretend that instead of doing that, I'll turn it up like this, and I will just put this single triplet here. We'll increase the difficulty by at least 0.1. Okay, now I've got these together and I've got this other sort of single piece sitting here. Now what I think, I just always like to think through and go, what is actually going to work here? That's just going to swap two quads. That is going to put, it's actually going to keep that quad together, and it's going to separate that piece and the other two. I think I will actually do that. So initially, okay, I'm going to do that just so, yeah, I think if I turn that one to there, let me just think this through, if this is actually going to work. I keep that there, it puts it to that position, and it takes this one down here. I'll put that one, that's no good. Let's turn that to there, because what I'm trying to do now is essentially make a quad out of this pair. So that one can go to there. I think I'm happy with that. Actually, that's a good idea. Okay, so I've got a triplet. Now, all I need to do, really, let's just think this one through. I think this is going to be good. So that's going to go to there if I just do a swap. Then I can turn this around and that blank spot will be waiting for it to fill. So that's the sort of thing that I meant. I have to say this one's probably about as hard as it gets. So that piece is now on its own. I can turn that triplet around and now do the swap again. And it'll put that single piece next to the triplet to make my final quad. And then I can just turn that quad and do the last swap. Okay, so we're all done there with all of the sun centers. So they are basically now, if you look at the puzzle and pretend that is all one piece, we really now have a 4x4. And you'll notice that we haven't talked about parity or anything like that. So what I'm going to do now is solve this as a 4x4. I probably am going to do the whole thing because I want to just make sure that I get all the things that can happen, just at least so you're aware of my method for dealing with those things. So solving, I just normally like to solve the white edges first. And I know that I could, if I do this white red to here, I'm basically going to do that, replace it with another piece. I could be looking and going, oh, that's a white orange. If I could get a white orange there, that'd be good. Normally, I don't bother. I just go, it's just quicker to just replace it, find the next one, and away we go. I suppose, again, if you've never seen 4x4 edge replacement, what you're doing is, where did that one go? There it is. Matching a pair, taking it off to an adjacent face and replacing it with something that's not done. That's done there. The white orange, the white green. Now there's the white green. I can do the same thing here. And the white orange is the last one. There's the other one. All right, so my whites are done. I'll do my yellows next. I think overall the time it takes to find and match up the correct piece, just to me, is not really worth the trouble, I guess is what I'm saying. Yellow red is there. What's next? Yellow blue. So again, just incredibly standard 4x4 edge pairing. Yellow green. Nearly all done, not quite. Okay, what's left? Red, blue, orange, blue. Is that it? That is it. Okay. Yes. Now, if this happens, this is interesting. I kind of wanted to show absolutely everything, and I forgot about this one as well. So that's good. If this happens, what it means is that you need to do a turn one onto the other. So in other words, I've only got blue, orange, and blue, red remaining as the pairs. I do not have a third piece. So the only option that I have here is to turn them so that, let's say with this red blue, I'm going to push out the other red blue like that. I'm then going to grab that pair, move it up to the face, and then return it flipped. So the red blue has got to go to the top when I return it. So I'll move it up to that face first of all, and then just think, how do I get the red blue to the top? Well, I can't just turn it like that. I'm going to have to turn the position up, put it onto the position, undo. Okay, then when I return the centers, they are back together and the orange blues are back together as well. So that is the first of the strange things that happen with a 4x4. Right, the next thing I want to do is solve my edges. So I will solve my whites first. What's that one? It's a white red. Yeah, they're all done. I'll do some middle layer edges. To be precise, 3 of them. Okay, leaving me a 4th one. I'm now going to do the 2 yellows at the back here. The yellow red's done. The yellow green is in position but flipped. So I'll take that out, to the middle, and now return it correctly oriented. All right, now at this stage, there's a couple of things that can happen. One of them is this. I can see already I'm going to have a flipped edge, which is fantastic. But before that, I got the yellow blue and the blue orange need to swap those edges. So if that happens, I'm going to turn the top face one turn. I'm then going to replace the red yellow to the back with a 3 cycle. And I'm then going to replace the yellow green over to this position. Like so. And what I've got now is a 3 cycle rather than a swap. So the blue, orange, blue, yellow, orange. So I'm going to go ahead and place or cycle those 3 home. And I kind of did that one deliberately so that I'd get the flipped edge in the middle. Doesn't have to be, it could have been there or there. I just like it in the middle. Now, here's the next thing to do with the 4x4. I suppose there's 3 things. One, that first one wasn't really a major thing, but this is the first major thing. And I've got a single flipped edge. Well, the way that I'm going to deal with this is just to turn half the cube like that, one turn. And I'm now going to replace or replace, not the edges actually, replace the centers. So to get that orange center back there, I can't just do that because I haven't dealt with the problem. I want to turn that face around. Now push that out, turn it, bring it back. So that's replaced the orange centers. I want to do the same thing for the blue. Push it out, turn it, bring it back. And finally for the red. And therefore the green will automatically deal with itself. When you've done that, you'll have one middle layer edge that's okay, and the other 3 will just need to be cycled home. So I'll use one of them up there. I'll deal with the green orange. So this time I do want to check that the blue orange piece will be here. And the reason for that is if I didn't do that, I would get that same scenario that I had earlier with a flipped, sorry, not a flipped, 2 edges only. Okay, so that's now dealt with. The centers are back. I'm going to resolve my edges. Whoops, one too far. Whoa. I might go off camera and fix this one. Yeah, well, I don't know if I've left that in the video or not at this point, but there it is. That's fixed. It's just a matter of kind of angling stuff. That's actually the first pop of that I've had. I'm trying to think if I've had one before. Maybe one before, long time ago, but it's generally pretty stable. Where was I? Yes, I was placing that white orange. Okay, there we go. The whites are done again. Again, I'm going to place 4 middle layer edges, or 3 I should say. So by 4, I mean 3. I think that's 3. That needs to be a yellow blue at the back. What does that leave me with? Once again, I've got, in fact, this time I don't have a swap. I have 2 in position needing to be flipped. Well, I'm just going to flip them in my standard manner. Okay, all the edges are now done. You remember that we had one single flipped edge in the middle. That's what we've just fixed up. Now it's time to solve corners. So for me, I'm just using number of sequences of the corner piece series. Again, I'm not going to go through what that is. I assume my regular viewers know. If you don't, well, there are links in the description, etc., etc. So probably 5 lots of this just to get some of these corners home. Here's another nice one. Now at this stage, I'd probably stop and look and go, do I have a swap of corners? Because that's the last thing that could happen. white, green, red, green, orange, yellow. It looks like I don't because I've got actually 2 swaps. So I am going to set up for a swap of corners now. Oh, here we are. We've got this swap of corners. I've got the yellow, green, red and the yellow, blue, orange. I might just comment on that little pop that happened before. I did have this cube tensioned quite tight, and that was so that I had stability, and I found it was just a little bit too tight. And so I went in, this is a little while back, went in and just undid each screw. I'm going to say maybe an 1/8, maybe a 1/16 of a turn, very little amount. And that really gave it enough sort of play in here just to make it much easier to turn, not completely kill my wrist as I'm doing it. But obviously if I'm not completely careful, there will be a little pop on occasion, possibly. Anyway, let's get onto these 2 swapped corners. The last ordinary thing of an ordinary 4x4. Well, for me, I've got a swap of 2 corners, but not a swap of 2 edges. So if I have a swap of each, that's fine. If I have a swap of one or the other, that's not fine. So I'm going to create a swap of 2 edges. And the way I'm going to do that, I'm just going to turn the cube 180 degrees, half the cube like that. And I now have this pair, green, orange, blue, red. Doesn't matter how I do this. I could be talking about these, doesn't matter. I've got this pair here. I'm going to take this out to the top and return it flipped. So out to the top. And return it flipped. Okay, I'm then going to go around to the corresponding set on the other side and do exactly the same thing. And once I've done that, I'm going to return that half of the cube. And what you'll notice is that the green-orange is a pair again, and the red-blue is a pair again, but they have swapped positions. So all the centers are back. By doing that, we still have our swap of corners, but now we also have a swap of edges, which means from here, I can just go ahead, grab that green, orange, and go and solve things as per normal, and it will solve totally normally from now. So I will do that solve just so it's all clear that this works, but it's a pretty cool little method of dealing with this with the 4x4. So that's the edges done again. I'm now going to continue solving these corners. What's the next one? Got a yellow, blue, red. I could probably, yep. Don't mind me just talking to myself. White, orange, green, that one there. Well, let's do that one. Although that's in position, so I wouldn't mind involving that one if I can. Yes, I think I will involve that just to get it out of position. And the reason that I've done that is just so that I end up with a 3-cycle and not twists. So I've got a 3-cycle here. So for my last 3-cycle, I've got this green, orange, yellow that'll roll to there. And if I go across like that, I've got 2 options. I can either go across like that, or I can turn it and say that's going to roll, that's going to roll. I want to choose the best option for this last piece. This last piece, if I was to go across to there, the yellow sticker lands on the top, which means I want the yellow face of the 3rd piece to land in that same position. And I'm pretty sure that if I turn that around and then do that, I will have my setup. And you'll actually notice that 3rd piece is going to roll really nicely into position there. So that's the sort of thought process for the last 3-cycle. Undo those setup moves. Right, the Sun Mum 4x4 version 1, that is solved. And you can see that essentially, I guess the main or the hard part of that, firstly, is getting it back to cube shape, but then dealing with the sun centers. But I hope you'll agree it wasn't actually hard at all. Just a little bit of thought, little bit of logic, and we are done. As I said, I've got the version 2 that will be coming out at some point, and a few others coming along as well. As always, thanks for watching.